Hey y'all! Hey Facebook fam! My sister was getting down to this last live, so our little intro music there. Come on in, come on into the room. Give me a hello, guys. We had a couple of tech difficulties this morning, but that's okay. We know how to roll, right? Come on in as you're coming in. Say hello. And let me know what your highlight of the week was. Highlight or challenge. Either way, we can help you with both. We can help you celebrate, or we can help you to overcome any challenges that you're having in the nonprofit world. Hello, Helena. So good to see you. So good to see you joining us here. I feel like it's been some time. Tell us about one of your nonprofit highlights. How are things going? Helena, guys, has a multi-purpose nonprofit.
Okay.
She has a machine that I'll have her tell you guys about. It looks like Coach Austin might be coming, guys. He is actually working out some little technical kinks here. Hold on a sec. Let's see. We're going to mute him while he's working those out. So he's getting his sound together, guys, and he will be on momentarily. He's going to be talking about mindset tips to be bank ready. Mindset tips to be bank ready. Go ahead and put your highlights in, guys, or the challenges that you're having with your nonprofits, because we are here to help you. If this is your first time seeing me, I'm Tracy Angelica Clark, and I am your nonprofit consultant, your mindset coach, and I also help you grow and develop financially, guys. Hello, hubby. Hubby's joined us, guys. Come on into the room. And again, sorry we're a couple of minutes late here, but we are rolling. And so Coach Austin will be on shortly. He's no stranger, guys. You know him very well. Let me see here. Oops. Close out of some of this. All right. Yes, guys, we're going to be getting started here in just a couple of minutes. In the meantime, thank you, Helena. Yes, everything's going well. Thank you for describing what it's called. She says we have a hyperbaric chamber that we let our community use. Helena, while you're in here really quickly and everyone's joining the room, can you do a little brief, just quick description of what that is, or a link for people to know what that is as well? Because I know you've told me lots of good things about it, and it's definitely something I want to try. Let's see here. Hello, Coach Austin.
Hello.
Hello. Looking good. Awesome. This works out perfectly. There we go. Works out. We know how to roll, right?
Yes, I'm going to hear you now. You know, we got to make this thing work. This is perfect entrepreneur training. There's got to be a plan B, and we had to tap into the plan B.
And that's it. That's it. I swear that is one of the entrepreneurial mindset tips. There's a mindset tip in action, huh?
Yeah, man, look, I'm trying to tell you. Let me adjust my stand here, and we're gonna make this thing work on TV.
And actually, you look crystal clear. You actually, it's funny. The plan B looks even clearer than the plan A. So it works out.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine. The cool thing about these phones that we have, these little computers we have in our pockets, is that they're super powerful. Their sound system is typically great. Their camera is typically great, because that's what they're made for. So that's always a great plan B.
It is. Thank you so much. I need to thank my fiance for helping me. She was trying to find these headphones.
Go ahead, fiance. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I couldn't have it without it. I'm telling you.
Yes.
So we're set.
That is great. That is great. Well, I think this is our first time seeing you this new year here live. So happy New Year, even though we're at the end of the first month. You know, can you believe it?
Yes and no. I guess it comes by so fast, you know, and it's one of those things to where you just keep plugging. I'm always thinking next month, the next 2 months, and then on the weekends, like after this, we'll take a little time and just refresh ourselves. Okay, where are we at? What did we do? How's things going? Okay, let's keep moving. Yeah. Yeah, so
absolutely.
I'm happy how it's going. I really am.
Absolutely. Same here. It's good to be in a new year. The end of the first month here does really seem like it's flew by, but
it has.
Absolutely. Well, you have some amazing things coming up in February. So we're going to be talking about that at the end, guys, but we're going to start digging right on in to the topic of today's show, which is being bank ready, mindset tips to being bank ready. And so, and the first question that I'll ask you, Coach Austin, is I know that we're going to talk about all of the actual things that you need to have, and that might correlate to the mindset, having your stuff together. But how important do you think it is for you to have your mind in the right place before you walk into a bank and maybe request services for funding, or or even just starting to start that relationship with a banker?
It's more than everything because your mindset rolls off into how you're perceived. So you've got to understand that your mindset's got to be so almost sheep-like humble and almost lion-like confident when you walk into a bank or a meeting,
Wow.
anywhere where you're piercing, because the person seeing you come through the door or at a meeting, which you need to be early for so you can perceive them coming in. But if you're walking into a bank, right, PPP programs, all those kind of things, they're looking at you. So especially now, you got to make an appointment and things like that. So you got to go in that bank with the mindset of, I've got to be perceived really, really well. I've got to make sure they see me in the best light possible, because they may make a decision within the first 15 to 30 seconds. So if your mindset is, I'm doubting, I'm not sure of myself, all those things come off in how your persona is perceived. And then when you sit down, that posture, you've got to almost walk through, and I do this with my clients often, walk through the meeting, walk through sitting down, walk through the first pieces of the conversation with that banker, with that investor, with that VC, whomever you're with, right? And make sure that you can exude confidence because you're needing something from them. It is a mutually beneficial relationship, but you want to make sure the leverage is on your side. And it so starts in your mind. It so starts there.
Absolutely. Can you remember back when you first started with your business banking relationships, like some of the mistakes you may have made entering the bank and starting that relationship for the first time, and talk a little bit about that? So maybe some of our clients may be able to avoid those mistakes.
Earlier on, and even now, I've got to be careful, not necessarily procrastinating, but putting too much on my plate prior to a meeting. And I'm so on the dime with it, man. It was funny. And when you said go back, the first glimpse I had was my first meeting. I had a DBA, right? Didn't even have the LLC, didn't have the corporation, had a DBA, and was going to Bank of America to get a small line of credit. And I can see it in my mind now, driving up to the bank. I'm sweating, sweaty palms, my jacket's in the bag, got to put the suit on, get the tie adjusted. And I was nervous as I don't know what. And the banker was with another client, so it gave me time to sit down and breathe a little bit. And I could see her in the window kind of waving like, I'm so sorry, I'm okay. I'm like, man, you good?
Right.
I'm the one sweating. And you over here telling me you apologize. So when I walked in, she was like, oh my God, you can tell she's very flushed in her face. And I was like, hey, there's no big deal. We're people, things happen. Don't worry about it. I'm just glad I'm here. Let's go ahead and take care of this thing. And we went all into it. And fortunately, I learned this from a mentor at that time. I had sent them Subway gift cards the week before. I had called the week before and kind of, meshed it in, phone conversation, talked to them a little bit. So they were like, yo, thanks for the lunch last week, because we do lunches and Saturdays are really big days in retail space. So the relationship part on the high note was well prepared. Thank goodness. I didn't know how it was going to go. But then me walking in, I was kind of late. So if she would have been waiting for me, it could have turned differently. Right. But yeah, just prepare and be calm. And it's better to be 15 minutes early sitting in the parking lot than it is to be a minute or two late. Promptness is and that posture is so underestimated. But I did that a couple times. I put too much on my plate, rushing in and not being as prepared as I should have been. And it probably did cost me a couple lines of credit. It did cost me a banking relationship once, because later on I found out that they really look at how soon someone gets there, how prompt are they, and they equate that to a late payment sometimes, or your inefficiency to perform, no matter what your resume looks like. They look at the little things. So those lessons are lost lessons I take now into even my coaching with clients, even myself. So we're not perfect, but yeah.
Yeah, isn't that every entrepreneurial's challenge? Maybe we could talk a little bit about that. I like your dad cup.
Oh,
Cheers to the new year. Yes, love
yes,
it. What does
indeed.
it say? Let
Oh,
me see. A small word from the most amazing. Oh, how
yeah,
lovely.
I got
That's
that
such
from
a
my girls,
sweet
man. They
gift.
always, yeah,
Oh,
my
what a
girls are
wonderful
something
gift
else.
to receive.
Yeah, yeah. Let me
But
adjust
let's
this.
talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Because entrepreneurs, as an entrepreneur, I know you know that sometimes putting stuff on our plate is something that we are constantly too much stuff on our plate is something that we're constantly striving to get better at and to adjust. And is there some specific tips that helps you to really stay kind of on the horse, so to speak? I have this saying on my team that I start on the horse, and sometimes by the middle of the day, I'm like hanging. Sometimes I'm hanging off, barely holding, depending on how things go. Is there some tips you would give to keep your day simplified and focused enough to make sure that you're showing up where you need to show up? Because sometimes we're so busy, you can miss an opportunity to show up and be 100% for something that's right in front of you because you're working on so many other things.
Exactly. There's a method in the time management world called the Eisenhower Matrix. And I teach it in the time management class. It's in the ebooks that we have. But it's one of those things to where you have your day planned out, right? Everybody's got a schedule. We have a perfect day planned at 6 in the morning. We got our coffee. We're good.
Mhm.
And there's an alarm on my watch that goes off at about 1:40 every day. And that's my middle of the day. Like she just said, take a breather. It's a small prayer time. I just may say, okay, Lord, where I'm at, what am I doing? Okay. And then we go. I try to take a little mini power nap here or there just to breathe. And like 9 o'clock or 10 or maybe 3 o'clock is a little mini prayer time. I'll just say it in my head. But it's a scenario with the Eisenhower matrix that I use there. If it comes across my desk, is it urgent and an emergency?
Mhm.
Is it perceived urgent and just a distraction?
Hmm.
And where do I compartmentalize it? Do I have to handle it right now? And I'll ask myself those questions. Oh, because if not, everything that comes across your desk may be a perceived emergency, but do I have to handle it right now?
Hmm.
Is it 911? Is the house burning down type thing? Will I lose a business? Will I lose a client? Right? Not that they're barking at me because they're late, or maybe I may be pushing the envelope a little bit, and I just can respond back. Now I've fallen short with that, and I try hard to get back on that because my
Yeah.
follow up, I try to be real good on the follow up, but sometimes you miss it, right? So it's the response, not asking for an apology, but maybe telling them thank you for your patience. Let me do this, that, and the third. And as long as they know that they're acknowledged, right? 9.5 out of 10, you should be okay with that. But it's a matter of staying on task and prioritizing everything. I mean, really
Yes.
everything. I'll let my gym fall off, which is so important to me. I'll let that fall off to where I can maybe just breathe because sometimes you want to rush
Hmm.
to the gym and rush here. So I've got to tweak that schedule in 2021 because honestly, things are changing, as you said.
Right.
It's a changing, it's pivoting over and over and over and over again. So now it's what's my base? What works for me? How am I most productive? Because we can't go into 21 saying I'm so busy. You have to say
Mhm.
how productive am I?
That's it.
Am I productive enough? Am I getting the job done? And am I taking on so much? And I'm doing that now, honestly. I'm in the middle of, I think I'm doing too much in this lane. Let me convert this to that so I can be more productive. And every call you get on, they don't want to know you 80% of you're tired. They need 110% of Coach,
Yeah.
110% of Tracy. So it's like, okay, I got to go. So sometimes I even take a little mini breather before I get on the call.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And just do that refuel, do that reset. That's so important. Prioritizing, well, because the thing is that a lot of almost every entrepreneur I know easily can fall into a place where there's just too many things coming in and they feel like, oh, how are they going to get all of this done? And most people are carrying multiple roles: entrepreneur, mom, wife, home, keeping the home together, and things happen there and can get into that mode of overwhelm where things are just like kind of spiraling a little bit out of control with the amount of things that they have on their plate. So it's so important, like you said, to sometimes reset, because one thing that you have to remember is things are constantly coming in, emails, requests for your time, pulls for your attention. That's the main thing. Anything, whether that be social media, email, for anybody connecting with you in any type of way, they're pulling for your attention. So if you know that there are people on an ongoing basis and businesses and companies pulling for your attention, it's so important for you to know what your priorities are. And so that you can say, I know all of this is pulling, but this is what's important. This is what's priority today. These are the things I'm going to work on, because I can't work on them all. So that's so important, to take that time, like you said, and just kind of sometimes reset. The thing that's really helped me in that area this year, and I messed up on it too as well. I'm always constantly going through that thing. That's something I have to remind myself about almost on a weekly basis. But really, what really helped me this year was breaking down to those three. And I think we've talked about it before, Coach Austin, those three top priorities that I'm going to get done today that are important for me today. I know that with three things that I'm working on that day, I can show up 100% for them. I'm 100% sure about that. There's no, those things can get my 100%. As it goes over that amount, that's when we start getting to B level, C level of performance. And we don't want that. You know what I mean? We want that A level of performance. But what I did was, I was being tricky. Some of those things would be a list. So one of the items would be a list of items. And I'm like, no, one of these things need to get done. You need to be specific on the three things, because the truth is, even if you get through all of those items, that's not sustainable. No. That's not something you can do on a regular basis. And what more than likely it means is you've pulled from something else. More than likely for a lot of us is our self-care. Like you said, pull from that gym time, pull from that meditation time, woke up early and just decided to do this project. So now, even though you may have excelled in these tasks related to business or whatever those areas are, now you're behind in these other tasks. So now you got to play catch up in that area. True. So that's one little thing that's really helped me. Yes, prayer time, Helena talks about as well. She was just seconding you on that as well. Some people are intimidated by the bank, Gayla was saying, and they shouldn't be. Why do you think the reason is that people are so intimidated by the bank?
I'll put it in it's funny she brings that comment up, because that is coming up a lot with the PPP, EIDL, and people, really having to make that move to go to the bank. And I had 3 conversations yesterday, and all were based on a fear of, or a hesitancy of, I don't want to go to the bank or deal with government loans. And, there's so many different underlying tilts, right? So all of it is a benefit to us, all of it. If it's a PPP, it's a tax benefit. So you do deserve, and you should leverage that opportunity. When it comes to bankers, it is, because it's foreign to a lot of us. Not everybody goes into the bank. Most often we just go drop off our checks, or we get direct deposits, so you don't deal with bankers often. Fortunately, again, I've only been on social media really heavy with IG in this for maybe 10, 11 months. So it hasn't been that long. So I'm experiencing things through a different lens with the clients and what they're going through. So what I would say to anybody, these are people that you're dealing with. It's not the bank, you're dealing with people. And quite frankly, even on the private side, they're fine. They actually want to deal with entrepreneurs. They kind of live vicariously through us, to be quite frankly honest with you. If you go in there and you start talking to a banker, that banker is going to be so cool with you and so happy to have the relationship. And if you give them a Subway gift card or a Smoothie King gift card or something to help the staff, they look at you, this is a CEO coming in. So really, y'all, it's a funny perspective, but they see you not in a fearful way, but, ooh, okay, these are superstars coming in. So when you leave and you go out into your world, they're stuck in that bank. And half of them don't really want to be there, and the other half like it, and they like the interaction with you. So I can't say why, because everybody's got their own why, but I would just encourage people to just reach out over the phone, as you will with any other vendor, because they're a vendor. They're an intricate part of your existence as a business. And the better of a relationship you have with your bank, which is why I push local credit unions and small regional banks over the big banks. And the reason why big banks, they rotate staff so often. You go into a Wells Fargo or Chase, I'll be honest, and you don't see the same branch manager every, over the course of 3 to 6 months. They move them on, right? But if I go in a credit union, I'm going to see the same person for the most part over and over again. In their tenure, they'll be there for a while. So they'll know I got girls. They'll know the family. They'll know, this, that, and the third. They'll even know sometimes who your mom or dad or cousin or aunt, so those things make a difference when they're underwriting your loans or when they understand what you're going through. Sucks. You have a check that bounces. Things happen. You can make that call and say, hey, Sam, hey, Becky, hey, Sue, whatever, this happened. Can you work with me on this? This is my solution. This is what's going on. Again, all bank ready stuff. And these are just people. And once you get past that point, people say they're intimidated to talk to me. I'm like, man, I'm just a country boy, man. There's nothing special over here. I've just been around it for a minute. But, again, it's just the fear is we haven't done it. The fear is of the unknown, and it happens for all of us. Sucks. You see a roller coaster ride. I don't know if I want to do it. And you hop on, you're like, oh, I got to go back again. So it's just it's the icebreaker, and I think that's a good reason for having a coach like you and I. Yeah. There's those little things that we can't advertise. What services do you offer? I make you feel better to go out and do what you do every day. And we do, So it's if that's sorry about the long answer, but that's what I've seen. And if we can get over that, I'm gonna change that statement. Slowly but surely, be comfortable. You can just go talk to that person as they're a friend of yours and develop a relationship with this person in an interview process and see which one gives you the better vibe. And that's who you want to go with.
Absolutely. And that relationship building is so important. I read a resume in our process when we were building our team at the end of the year. I read a resume, and shout out to the person because they're on the team already. And the thing that stood out on their resume, she doesn't even know this. The thing that stood out on her resume the most was one of the things that it said on there was wanting to build relationships in XYZ. And so I just thought that really stood out, that that's part of your desires and part of your goal and your focus, building relationships. And that's so important because we don't want to be, as a banker or as a coach or as a legal aid, we don't want to be treated like a number or like a business, so to speak, or like a box. We want that relationship portion in there as well. So when you start to think of it that way, now it becomes fun because you start to think, okay, well, how are my relationships? How are my relationships with my friends? What are how would I make this a win-win situation? And you can start thinking about it a lot differently. How much do you think preparing is adds to that mindset and feeling good about going into that meeting, being prepared and knowing what you need to provide, what you need to bring, who you are, what your mission is, things like that?
Oh man, it's a matter of success or failure. And I don't bring up failure very often, but when I say that, if you don't prepare and take off some of the rough edges, you don't know what to walk in on. Quite frankly, you've got to prepare for everything. You can't go into these unknown situations assuming things are going to go a certain way. And I think with entrepreneurs a lot. I'm glad you asked that question because it brings up a whole, but I'm just going to keep it refined. Entrepreneurs, everything we do for the most part is an initial run through, unless you got a board of directors that you tap into or an advisory board that you tap into and say, hey, we don't often ask, how should I do this before I do it? We often think, I'm going to just go do it. And then you run into it like a ram into a wall. And it's like, okay, great, game busters, knock the hinges off. And you get in here like, oh, I don't know what to do. Oh no. And then you freak and you freeze. They're in the headlights. You've got to prepare. Just again, bank ready business plan and forecasting and all those business terms. It's all preparation. I mean, I say probably 70% preparation, 30% execution, quite frankly, because you always got to prepare. I mean, I'm preparing my lines before I get on with you. I mean, I don't know what you're ever going to ask me, but I'm thinking, okay, Tracy, I know how she moves. I know how things are. We get this. We had the mic issue going on before we got on. So it's like I'm preparing, what time do I shave? What time do I do this, that, and the third? So the whole morning got thrown off because we had a schedule or something set and this. So it's a matter of preparation is everything. Those that prepare better, you can have less of a skill set than the other person. Bring it to sports. I may not be the best, whatever, in football or basketball, but if I keep preparing and practicing and preparing and practicing, I may come across better than the person who has the talent or the skill set because I prepared for it.
Yes. 100%. I 100% agree with that because what happens when you show up, because showing up is important too. But what happens when you show up is an individual, a banker, whether that be a banker, a coach, deciding whether they're going to work with you, they're able to see how prepared you are in comparison to the next business, the next person, by asking you these questions. So if they ask you something like, I need a copy of your profit and loss statement, and your mind goes, profit and loss statement.
Or you
What's
start
that?
fumbling.
Exactly. And it's okay for you not to know. It's okay for you to hear that now and be like, I don't know what the profit and loss statement is. No biggie. That's why we have this thing right here. Just like I teach my kids, like even if I know something, I try to tell them, even the 5-year-old can talk to Alexa, ask her, know that you have the power to research anything, literally anything, and pull up samples and look at it and say, oh, okay, I get it. These are the transactions and these are, okay, I see why this is needed. Now, when they ask you about that, you'll either have it or you'll have some information tied to it. But if instead of preparing, you've been doing a lot of things that are not adding to your value and development, maybe Netflix binges of stuff that doesn't relate to what you're, or whatever that case may be, that's going to show. Now you're showing up, you're trying to do the thing that's in your vision that you're called to do, and they're asking you questions that's going to determine whether or not they'll partner with you. And you're like, and they're like, oh, they're not serious about this. They're not serious about their thing. And that's a bad thing for someone on the other end to feel. Like, okay, I don't think I want to partner with them and bring my energy, my 100% with them, and they're not 100% about what they're wanting to do because they haven't taken the time to research, prepare, which should be enjoyable anyway, because this is something that I'll say passionate, but I just talked to Coach Reggie, who's our resident disc coach, and he was saying passionate and gifts is two different things.
Man,
the things you give to giftings is what pay the bills. Passion, you can be passionate about something and really, really enjoy it, but nobody pays you for it. That's just so. But you should be excited about the thing that you are working on, the thing that you're working in, and that excitement should draw you to research and to be prepared.
No doubt.
Let's see what we have here. Coaches and mentors do make you feel more confident. They build your self-esteem. Find a great coach. We just mentioned that on our call yesterday. I was saying there was a little quote online that says, coaches are cheat codes. Get you one, sis. That's what it said. Coaches are cheat codes. There's someone that's like, you know what? Let me check your stuff out before you go to the people that are going to make or break your funding or things like that. Let me look at it and make sure you have everything in line so that you're prepared. Let me do some kind of mock interview with you, or let me do some mock preparation so that when you get in there, you know what to expect and you're even more prepared. Absolutely.
I want to interject something on that point that I'm noticing as a coach with people. Gifting, people are very passionate about what they do, and you have to be very humble when given certain information and wisdom. And I'll say it like this. People get very excited and passionate. They'll get on a call with me. They paid the call, they've done their thing, they're getting ready, whatever. And then oftentimes I have to critique where they are because I know where they're trying to go. And it's hard for someone who's built something. I totally get it. And it feels like it's a jab at if you're serious or not, or it'll jab at, I'll put all this work in. Who are you to tell me? Listen, quit being so emotional and taking this so personal. Is business. And I'm trying to save you so that when you're in there with a banker or even a venture capitalist or in a Shark Tank situation, when you're on the pitch deck, right? They say, we'll invest in your business. Tell us about it. And they'll find the holes in it because what they're trying to do is see, you said it earlier, sustainable? Can you go through a couple cyclical years and have you seen the future in your business and know what the market is bringing? And oftentimes people get scared of that. And when I say, are you serious enough? It's a serious conversation. Have you taken this serious enough? Have you gone out and said, hey, and it's a maturity thing. I don't know where I'm about to go, but can you help me kind of see where that's going to be? And not all of us have the maturity to even ask that question. But when it's brought to you in a serious sense, we have to really look at it from that angle, because you only give primary data, what you know, and you are the combination of your experiences. But someone like you and I, who's seen it for a couple of times and done it over and over, and you've seen multiple little nuances that come up, we're trying to help you. And a lot of times, those that don't make it, they fall short just because of that. And it's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's one of the non-sexy answers, but it's true. So
But it's true, absolutely. And sometimes you need critique. Sometimes that specific area, that's a true place that a lot of people come from. I've had plenty of calls where someone's like, even for the nonprofit, they're like, I know that I want to do a nonprofit. I don't know exactly who I necessarily want to serve. And they're still working on that. And it's okay to, like you said, kind of sometimes you have to. There's a saying that one of my coaches said that I repeat to everyone all the time, which is, stay in the step you're in. It's okay to be in that step. That's your foundation. You don't want to pivot off. The worst thing that can happen in that situation is you do something that you're not 100% sure about, and it grows. And now you're stuck in this business you created that you didn't take the time and build that foundation and know that this is really, truly something that is something you're passionate about, connected to, and that you want to create. So it's important to step back sometimes before you step forward and make sure you're going in the right direction, because you can be running fast because we move so fast. So that's why those pauses are important. You can be running fast, but running fast towards the wrong area. And then you have to go in and you have to backtrack. So that's going to be another issue. So that's an important point that you made right there. If that's where you are, if you're like, you know what, I really just don't know. I'm not clear. It's not, it's hard for me to do research because I don't know exactly the direction that I want to go in. And there is coaching for that as well, guys. I believe both Coach Austin and we as well have some type of coaching where we will help you to kind of get a clear vision of what your passion and your purpose and your product or your service is, how it ties to your story, how it ties to what you already know and what you already do. So that's something that you can get help with as well. And it's okay to be in that step. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because some people might be thinking,
it's a really good step, because you can do strategy calls with a coach twice a month. Quite frankly, everybody should. A 30-minute strategy call. Here's where I'm at. Where are you going? Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm going. And you want to go into a strategy call with the coach almost with the assumption automatically of take what you think you want to be off the table, which is why a feasibility study is so important. It may seem overly technical, but it covers so many areas, and you may not need every area every month, but it shows you how feasible your next step is. Like, should I do this or should I do that? Case in point, I have a new client who's in a essential market, water, right? And there was a feeling to push and try to hit the market at a certain time. And I was like, okay, why do you feel that way? And I ask all clients that, why do you feel that way? Because when I hear feel, I think, I feel. Don't feel. Let the numbers tell you where to go. Let the market tell you where to go. I.e. with the whole GameStop situation and all that kind of stuff. Don't get too caught up in the hype. There's a reason why that happened. Sit back and look at what was that and why did that happen like that. There's always a catalyst. There's always a meaning and a reason for things. They don't just haphazardly happen. You may haphazardly see them happen at the end of it all, but there's a reason for everything. So you, as a CEO, need to be the reason why things happen, not just it happened to me. You should know when you're going to hit that hyper growth. You should know ahead of time when these things are going to occur, because you're the one that's navigating the ship.
That's it.
There's all captains of ships sit up high. They got their hands on but they're the rudder for the ship. Now the ship's engines are going off. Everybody else is running around doing their thing, but you've got to stand back at times and just rudder your own ship. And if you take that stance with everything that you do in your business, 9 out of 10, you'll be better off. Trust me, and you'll grow faster. Funny thing about that, you move slower, you'll grow faster.
But you'll grow faster. You'll grow faster. A lot of times we try to take those shortcuts, and I try to tell people, everyone knows that person growing up that would take a shortcut, and you like, Auntie, this is taking 20 more minutes longer than it would have took. This is not a shortcut, but so many times we try to take shortcuts, and we realize that in taking those shortcuts, we've missed some steps, we've missed some foundational keys, and now we have to go back. And in taking that shortcut, you're actually going back and going even longer. It's going to take you even longer than it would have taken if you would have just taken your time, done it right, stayed in the step you're in, focused, given that step your 100%. Because if you're on step 32, 34, 33, 1, 2, and 3 is not getting 100%, and then comparing yourself to yourself. That's what I heard you say when you said, looking at the numbers, looking at, okay, once you've gotten through your first year, great. That's awesome. You got through your first year. If you've just getting through your first month, great. You have something to compare. Last month, launching month, we made this. This month, we did this. Are we growing? Are we going? It doesn't matter how big or small it is because you're just trying to be better than you were before. You
Yes.
know, so funny story. I actually used to, when I was a teenager, I did a lot of odd jobs before I dug deep into entrepreneurship. One of the odd jobs that I had was I was a Santa's helper. And so I would do all of the setup, get all the kids together and stuff. I don't know how that's going now with the pandemic, but get them all together. A lovely business. The business that did really, really well during this time. And one thing that I noticed that they always did every day, we would start with the year before day. What we did that year before, what it looked like, what was normal, and our goal, it would be simple, and that would be to beat that day a year ago. You
Okay.
know, and so that's just a way to kind of sink into your own personal growth as opposed to sometimes comparing yourself to someone who has a larger team, to someone who's been in it for many, many more years, who may have had other types of funders or partners or investors when they began. So always just compare yourself to how you are going to develop, how you're going to get better as a company, as an entrepreneur each day. What would you say is the biggest tip you can give to someone who's in their starting stages, and they may be on, let me see, I'm looking to see if any of the clients I see are in this phase, but they may be on watching now or watching the recording, and they're literally in like their very beginning first phase. They haven't even been in a bank yet. What are some of the things that they can focus on right now to get them in the mind space to be able to build to the point of walking into a bank?
Fear of missing out is the hardest thing to get over.
Hmm.
What I'm seeing with a lot of new entrepreneurs, they feel they've got to run too fast and catch up to the influencers they see on Instagram and social. And I've only got 10 followers, I've only got this, I've only got that. So they minimize where they are,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel they've got to run ahead so fast to catch this infamous ghost of success. And get a coach, get someone who is where you are looking to go. Because if I had to tell myself when I first started, hey, do this, do that, I had people telling me things, but it was kind of half and half. They were half leeching and half really just wanting to be on for the ride. And some were really there for good, but they were there on their own level of expertise. And we were a team, but they couldn't tell me, hey, coach, you need to, as a CEO, be doing this. So I would say you want to map out your first year by yourself, and then map out your first year with someone else who's been through a first year. And
Hmm.
it's not bad to be with someone who's taken some L's and lost. Don't follow a coach who always has success stories. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's the first thing I'll tell someone. Don't go after the person with 100,000 followers and always showing you the cars and the jewelry and that kind of flamboyancy. You want to go with someone who has an authentic approach to business. You want to start thinking about business as business. So I don't know where you want to look for that, Bloomberg, CNBC, and you want to look at how these things are. And when an analogy I give is this: when they found the U.S., when they found America, there were maps drawn out by people who had already navigated the seas and drew the map so you can get there. So the history books will say they found America, but no, they didn't find anything. It was already mapped out.
Hmm.
So hence, be careful of the narrative, but just find the map. Find who wrote the map before you, and then follow that person. SCORE is a great first
Yeah.
resource. I still to this day, there's a client. He just got his Chewy.com, which is part of PetSmart, a huge purchase order. Benjamin, Beauty by Benjamin, great guy, great guy.
Awesome. I know Chewy.
Yeah,
Awesome. That's great.
he got a heck
Mhm.
of a contract with Chewy just now. If you go to my IG page, you'll see it. They got his vendor number, everything's going on. He's on Walmart.com right now, all those things. Chase Bank said, I'll give you money. This is where people need to realize where they're at. Chewy didn't know him when he was writing the written business plan. Walmart didn't know him when he was writing his plan and going through these things and knocking on doors and all the authentic stuff you need to do. So
Mhm.
as a new entrepreneur, write your business plan, write everything out, just write it, get it out in front of you. Chase Bank told him to go to SCORE and get a valuation letter so they can evaluate how what his company's worth right now, and then they will give him a loan structured on that free valuation letter from SCORE. So free resources like a SCORE, and then there's a Society of Retired Executives. That's a big answer for that question, but entrepreneurs have to approach it that way. You have to start tapping on different avenues of places that have already combed it for you. If you're a minority business, get your minority certifications. If you don't have a coach or mentor, get a couple. Get someone in business, get someone in finance, find like a bookkeeper, accountant, build that team, get some pro bono legal advice. You can go on these different sites. You'll type in that question, they'll give you an answer. Go to LegalZoom, whatever's free. Go for the free stuff to at least whet your palate on, okay, this is how business is supposed to work. And try to look for the non-flamboyant answers. Try to look for the non-flamboyant, the non-screamy, the non-jury loud answers. When people are talking business, I never walked into a boardroom that was loud, unless somebody was
non-flamboyant. What? No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
I'm telling you, you got to. I mean, not every answer's got to be loud and flamboyant.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Every boardroom I've always ever walked into, the only time it got loud was when somebody made a good deal, and they were excited about it, and they started drinking, or somebody was getting cursed out because they did something crazy. Yes, I mean, when you screwed up somebody's money, it's like, whoa, they're going left field.
Flamboyant.
Because boardrooms, and I'm about to put a post on this. Boardroom is where the action's at, so you got to talk it out. Think it out. So a lot of times you can't talk very loud and be talking strategic moves. No, you can't do that. Don't do that. Absolutely. Not all the time.
And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that point, because a lot of times, I'm all about energy and leveling yourself up and having positive, high energy. However, you mentioned a good point, because sometimes people get caught on to the excitement. There are these, certain people, whether it be in sales or whatever, and they get caught on in that excited energy, and they think that business is always exciting like that. And it's just not. And so that's why it's important to get a conversation going with someone who's like, you know what? They're not a yes man to you. They're giving you the real information and this looks great, but have you researched and looked at other comparable companies? Do you realize that right now your price that you're trying to charge is way higher than what the average price is, and you're coming in new? That may not make much sense to people. That's not exciting, especially for a new entrepreneur that is excited and they have this new thing that they're doing. So I'm glad that you mentioned that point, because though that might not be exciting, that might be exactly what you need in order to really know what your next step is. You need someone to give that real information, and valuing that is important. Valuing that, okay, great. You're giving me the real. You're giving me this, you're not just telling me what I want to hear or keeping my energy up, so to speak. You're telling me what real challenges I might be facing with this specific plan that I have right now. Exactly. That's why it's important to have a plan to begin, so that someone can actually feasibly evaluate it,
Yes. I mean, if you want to do a SWOT analysis on yourself, everybody, I won't say knows that, but people get to know that. And you want to do a SWOT analysis on your competition. That way you have a certain lens to look at your competition with. What's their strengths? What's their weaknesses? Where do I fall in? How does this thing work for me? And the excitement comes in when you close the deal. The excitement comes in when you're getting close and you're almost finishing. You can feel the adrenaline kind of building up, but you want to stay focused so you don't miss anything. That's where the excitement's at. The excitement isn't in all this other stuff. Yeah, I mean, you need motivational speakers. I listen to motivational speakers all the time to keep me going, because sometimes it is a lull. Sometimes you do get tired. Sometimes I don't want to wake up. I have my depressive moments. Quite frankly, I had one yesterday. It was a little bit, but I had to sit down and relax. It happens. We're human, right? So just balance things out as much as possible.
Honor yourself and what you need. Sometimes you need to, sometimes it's not just about push. Sometimes when it comes to minority community, we feel like we are behind, so we have to get ahead. So we have to, if we're not feeling well, I'm definitely a person that's done it like, oh, I ain't got time to get sick. It's great because I don't get sick often. I don't. But at the same point in time, if you're not feeling well, or if you're just feeling low energy, sometimes honoring yourself and saying, you know what, I'm going to readjust some things because I really need to do some self-care right now. And I want to show up 100%. Exactly. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because sometimes that's the most priority thing to do per day. in that specific day. That might be the thing that is number one. So
Exactly.
Thank you. Tell us about what you have coming up on the 3rd and 4th that goes into all of these tips we were talking about outlining, having some type of outline, some type of coach, some type of, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. First, let's look at the wheel in its entirety, how it's working, what has others done before us. Tell us about what you have coming up here.
Yeah, so we have a master class coming in February 3rd and 4th, Wednesday and Thursday of this coming week. Early bird price is $199. I was going to cancel it yesterday. I said, we got the live coming today, but interview on YouTube, let's keep it up. And the whole entrepreneurship training piece of it, entrepreneurs do need.
This is a new banner. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot.
Oh, good operation, Justin. Wow, I love it. Yes.
So
I'm
we
just
got the whole branding thing going on. Yes, I forgot. We hadn't talked since I put it up. But the master class is going to be myself. I'm going to have Beauty Brings and Credit. Her name's Makeda. She is a business credit specialist at leveraging business credit, which a lot of you mentioned the word investor twice. And that scares me when I hear it, because I know what investors can do to a new company. They may see an entrepreneur, they love their vision, but they can put you in a very compromising position, taking too much equity, wanting too much of your company. You give them controlling interest and you don't realize it. So we show you how to build your personal credit, build your business credit, so you can leverage yourself. So that now, like my client Beat It by Benjamin, he is in a position where he's going to get his business credit. He's going to get a certain amount of initial funding. I can take him to an angel investor or a venture capitalist, right? Reason why you have a coach. And I teach this in the mastermind of, you don't need an investor right out the gate. You think you do, because that's what it sounds like you see it on TV. You want to go with a venture capitalist with a plan of, okay, this is what I need. This is what my company is worth. If you're willing to offer these terms over 6 months, let's go. You control the conversation out the gate. So I teach that in the class so that you go into it not feeling like you need them. You do, but you have to have a position of power. And if their terms meet your terms, then you're good. So we're going to go over that from the business credit side. We also have a banker in the master class giving you the perspective from a banker's end. I thought that was so important to have a teaching staff of credit and a banker. You don't see that very often, where a banker will actually come out and tell you, this is what you need. I didn't want people to hear it from me, because you only hear one side of it, right? I want entrepreneurs, nonprofit, for-profit, they see business technically all the same. How are you going to service this debt, and how are you going to give that money to the community? What are you going to do with it? So you have to be able to articulate that to a banker. So hearing it from a banker is there. We're going to have a DJ in the master class as well.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah. So it'll be fun. So it's a fun experience, but it's going to give you entrepreneurship 101. It'll teach you what you should, even if you've been in business for a while, you still need to know some of these things and the importance of it. So we're going to go through that. We're going to go through time management, how to do more with less. I'm going to get into that Eisenhower matrix and give the people, really, we're going to get into the book itself. So they're going to get the book for free. We're going to give the book away and some other data that they can use as a study guide, as a template even, to run your day. So if you leave there knowing how to be a more successful entrepreneur from successful entrepreneurs, and we're giving you the blueprint to do what you do better, right? And then day 2, we're going to go into how to evergreen your business and how to make it sustainable. So those 2 days, the classes start at 7:30. But what you're going to get, the last class I had was like 4 hours. We're supposed to be there for an hour. But the Q&A went so long, it's like, they're so much better. And I don't want to keep you forever, but if I can build that foundation with you in that master class, and then we'll do a monthly kind of a maintenance thing. So whoever's in the class, we'll bring them back every month and do like a little subscription thing. And that way I'll maintenance with you. Because I don't want you to learn this in February, and in March, April comes and you kind of fell off. Because we got a lot of stuff to do. So let's hop back on for just a little bit, do a massive Q&A, and make sure that we're good, build a tribe that way. And then the next master class we'll do is built off of what you've got. So if I got you for that year, if you will, kind of cyclically run with you, this is the class you want to start with. This is the class you want to start with. So it gives you a lot of what entrepreneurs' pain points were and are. And if I can get past that, you can really start operating like a business. You can get all the templates you need and the foundational information that you need that's not being given right now. And I can say that for real. A lot of it's not being given. The real stuff that makes you work and makes you sustainable long term, this is what we're giving.
And that's an easy step 1. That is an easy step one for entrepreneurs just starting off. Maybe they don't want to invest in full coaching right now, or maybe they're just needing a refresher, or they don't know. One of the big questions that I see a lot of in a lot of these small groups and things like that right now, the Facebook groups, is people who are just like, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know what I need. I need some type of coach. I need some type of guidance, specifically in the nonprofit area as well. So sometimes having that guide and knowing that, we just said a whole lot of things about time management, how important time management is, and focusing on the right things. Well, if you don't know how to figure out what are the priority things to focus on,
I'll teach you.
that's another challenge right there. And so you want to make sure that you're putting, because sometimes as entrepreneurs, you put your time into things that are, I like to call it, the way I describe it is the box. I say that, your whatever your service or your product is that you provide, it's inside this box. Mm-hmm. And the how the box is wrapped up is your websites and your branding and your images and pictures and all of that stuff. And that's all wonderful and important. Not saying that's important, but have you ever opened a box, whether it be something that's seen on TV or whether it be a product that you got that you was excited about, they was going to change your life? The box was bomb, gorgeous, drew you in. You open it up and it's a piece of crap. You open it up and it's not together. It's not organized. It's nothing like this beautiful box. We don't want to be that no more. You know what I mean? We want the box to be great and the product to be even better. And so it's so important to make sure that you have those hard skills of coaching and that you're doing the things in a way where you're sustainable and you're able to provide the most, whatever service, whatever product you have as well. So that's one of the things that it sounds like this course would be a good foundation for.
Oh, gotcha. And one of the things I want to make sure that's on recording, right? What the class does, and it's difficult to put this in a post, what the class does, what the class will do, is allow people to have a much less stressful movement into their business. A lot of this stuff's stressful for people because they're trying to figure out Shopify, they're trying to figure out Wix, or social media managing, all these different things. And it's heavy, it's a weight. And you really want to work your business. You really, like, some people almost be in tears. I really want to do my business, but I got so much going on. And if I don't do this, I'm afraid, and it gets like a whirlwind. So what the class does is it just breaks it down. Let's just get real simple with this stuff. Do this, then do that. I know you want to go off and do this, but just take your time and do X, Y, and Z. Shucks, it took me, we talked about this. This class didn't just start last week. I was building this class September of last year. Quite frankly, I was building the systems in place so that if someone logs on the website, and there's so many things that happen. And I've been doing this for 15 years and had to pivot digitally. So I know if I got a certain amount of stress, I can only imagine what the normal people go through. So you're dealing with someone, you and I especially, that I get it. So I hyper niched. My niche changed probably 8 times from November till now. As far as what I'm going to teach and what I'm going to coach. It had to, because I'm seeing like pain point. It's like, wait, they don't need to know none of this stuff right now. I can tease that with my eyes closed per client as they come along. They need to know this stuff. If I give them this, then they're good with everything else. Because if they don't get this, they take off over there. I get a good bit of clients now, or I've got to a certain point, but if I'd have known this, then I'd be better off here. And now they're sulking in, oh man, I feel, oh my God. And I'm getting clients, I'm thinking, y'all don't need me, but they really do. These are like professional law firms and this and that. And they're like, Coach, I need you. Like, for what? It throws me off by this. They need it. And I'm talking to you, and it's like, we had a conversation offline, and like, they really need that stuff. Like, okay, I don't know what they didn't need. And I was like, well, I'm glad you can come to me because I can give it to you.
There you go. Absolutely.
I'm not for everybody. You might get a little irritated with the way I do things, but hey, you'll be okay if you keep going.
Yes. And sometimes, sometimes it's the simplest things, but people just need that coaching and it's important as a coach. One thing I was just talking about as well is growth. It's so important for you to grow and develop and see where, as the world is growing too. So you should always be assessing and seeing, what, okay, I see this as a real issue here. One of the big things in my coaching was I used to give everybody everything, try to give them everything at once. And I realized that That is not, and it's great. They feel excited and overwhelmed and froze at the same time, so doing those one steps, how that's so important to just break it down into those individual, what do you need right now? Like you said, so like knowing when what you're talking about right now is 5 years down the line from this person, or you know what I mean? So how can I meet them where they are right now? And that's where sometimes you come with those different niches of something that is a heavy area that's needed right now. So
exactly.
Thank you for sharing that, because that's important for everyone, especially right now with 2020 and 2021, being able to pivot and see where you can be of most value and sustain that the most. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we know a lot about a lot. And, and it's like, we want to give it all, but there are certain areas that come a little bit easier or that there's a wider market for, and it makes more sense numbers wise to specifically hone in on those areas. So that's an important part of business. Absolutely.
Very much so. Very much so. This has been good.
Yes, thank you, Coach Austin. Even with the beginning flusters, we still worked it out. So
we got to make it do what it do.
Thank you so much.
Microphones and this and that. Look, we'll make it do what it got to do.
Yes.
Questions out there we need to answer? Anything in particular?
No, just a lot of great comments. Everybody sharing the mindset stuff. Good morning from Nelson. Awesome. So that was perfect. That was enough information, enough nuggets. If you guys want to get more, we're going to have Coach Austin's information and his tags below. All the information is on your website for the course coming up, correct?
Yeah. So the easiest way, when you log onto the website, alphakingcs.com. Right, mm-hmm. CS stands for Coaching Services. You'll see the tab right there that says classes, our classes. Click on it. The master class is right there at the bottom, right? Because we have our foundational classes that we do every day. Mm-hmm. We want to keep that there. But the master class is there. The early bird price is still there. Mm-hmm. So log on, book the class. I'm going to send the Zoom link out just so people know. I'm not sending the Zoom link out until the day of. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that everyone who's there will get it. I'm also going to send the ebook with that attachment so that you have the book when we start the class. That's yours complimentary to that, and then we'll dive right in and do our thing. But yeah, it's really easy to do. Simple. It's a simple process, and just come, kick back. I would say whatever questions you have for the class, write them down, bring them. You can even DM me your questions ahead of time. We'll pull those together, make sure we answer it, because I want it to be an impactful experience for everybody. So come on out, get with us, and it'll be fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Coach Austin. Guys, I will see you all next week. We're going to have on Coach Adeniki. That's another one of our coaches. We're going to hone into this mindset, because I really want you guys, like, if you get that mindset piece, guys, you're going to be halfway there. If you can get that mindset piece, because if you don't get it, no matter what type of hard skills, what type of information you get, it's always going to be challenging you because you don't have those mindset pieces in place. So Adeniki's going to come on. She's a mindset coach and career coach. So for those of you who are still have your 9-to-5 and you're building your entrepreneur, you're building your business on the side, there are ways that you can marry the two, where you can be working in something that is giving you information and training you and helping you for your business as well. So while you're there, you're not feeling like you're just spinning your wheels, so to speak. So she helps with those specific transitions, making sure you're doing something that you're excited about and that's beneficial to your journey as well. So she'll be here next week at 11. We're also going to be coming onto our group. If you're not in our nonprofit group, nonprofit development and funding, we're going to be coming in 2 to 3 times this week, giving specifically funding updates, PPP updates. We're going to be giving just little tidbits specifically on nonprofit development and answering some Q&As right there inside of that group as well, guys. So we will see you in the next live and see you in the group if you're a part of that group. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And thanks again, Coach Austin. We really appreciate you. Hope to have you back soon again. I'm sure we will some more time this year. And I'll let you enjoy your weekend as well.
No worries. Thank you, guys. God bless y'all and see you soon.
Thank you.